thing the environmentalists down the street keep shaming you for not using more of. I don't care what you say, Ted. I'm not putting those tacky panels on my roof. But they actually have a point. Really hope Ted did not hear that. Solar power is a form of inexhaustible energy, meaning it will never run out because of use. Now, eventually the sun will explode, and we can kind of no longer use its energy, but the main point is we will not be because of it. Go humanity. Now, we use solar power in many different ways. Your mom uses it for greenhouses to trap in the heat so her herbs don't freeze over. Little kids, meanwhile, use solar power to fry ants on the sidewalk. But the most well-known, and the one that environmentalist Ted keeps complaining to me about, is PV cells. PV cells are called photovoltaic cells. We're just gonna stick with PV cells. See, what happens is when sunlight hits the silicone that the cell is made out of, the electrons get knocked loose and they start going crazy like teenage boys at a party. These cells are quiet. Well, actually, silent. And they're small. They were first discovered in 1839 by Edmund Becquerel, who, like a ton of science, only noticed this by accident. It wasn't until the 1950s that the PV cells became in large part used, mostly due to the space program, who used them because they're a lot easier to use in space than sending up hundreds of gallons of gas. By now you might be thinking, dang it, were those tree huggers right all along? Well, unfortunately they are not. Despite all of the benefits of solar power, there are major downsides. For one thing, our current PV cells only run about 40% efficiency, and it gets even less as it travels through more and more wires. You might be thinking, well, as long as we have enough cells, that shouldn't be too much of a problem, right? Well, you're wrong again. It's partly because the silicon that's in it, which also makes up the vast majority of PV cells, is super expensive. Additionally, unless you've stored that energy away, you can only use solar power on, surprise, sunny days. Sucks for you, Seattle. In the future, we'll have better solar cells and they'll be less expensive, and I'm sure solar power will come to rise as one of the great sources of energy in the world. But until that day, I'm right and Ted is wrong.